fun here in Barcelona on both the last day of the World Magic Cup, but also the kickoff weekend for Oath of the Gatewatch. I've been joined by Ian Duke from Inside R&D. Ian, we should remind people that coverage isn't your day job. What is?
That's right. I work in Wizards R&D. I'm a developer there, which means I focus on final design and game balance for Magic sets. And I was actually the lead developer for Oath of the Gatewatch, so I'm super excited for this set to come out and really eager to see how people react to the previews.
So you are as deep as it gets in terms of knowing what's going on with that set.
Yes,
you
one could
really
say that.
have sort of got up every morning and eat, slept and breathed it.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
All right, great stuff. So we'll go over what we've seen from Friday and Saturday in a little bit. People like new. So what do you got for us today here on Finals Sunday?
Well, we've seen a couple of previews so far this weekend, but today we have an extra special preview, and that, of course, is a tantalizing look at the expeditions in Oath of the Gatewatch.
Okay, so there are expeditions in Oath of the Gatewatch.
That's right. So in Battle for Zendikar, we saw the first 25 expedition cards of Battle for Zendikar block. Oath of the Gatewatch returns with 20 more expeditions, and we're going to take a look at 2 of them today.
All right, let's not waste any more time. Show us the first of our expeditions in Oath of the Gatewatch.
So here we have Ancient Tomb.
Wow.
That's right. So one of the really cool things about the Oath of the Gatewatch expeditions is that because of the colorless mana theme for the set, many of the expedition cards in Oath of the Gatewatch are lands that tap for colorless mana. And we're kicking things right off with Ancient Tomb. This is just an enormously powerful card. It sees a ton of play in Eternal formats like Legacy and Vintage. And I'm really excited to own a copy of this card, and I think a lot of players are going to be as well.
Okay, now Ancient Tomb came out originally in Tempest.
That's right.
1997, the fall of that year. So the thing is, that is worded, templated very differently now. So we should talk about, for people who weren't with us on Friday, there's the tap symbol, which has been with us since the dawn of time.
That's right.
But then add... What is that?
So this is Magic's new colorless mana symbol. This is what we're going to be using going forward to representing adding colorless mana to your mana pool. So this Ancient Tomb does exactly the same thing that Ancient Tomb always has and always will do, which is tap to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool and deal 2 damage to you. The only difference here this time is we're using our new templating technology, this new colorless mana symbol. So it's not a functional change, it's not errata or anything of that sort. It's simply just using a new visual representation for what the card already does.
Right, so rather than the old days of the little 2 in the circle, now we actually see them individually carved out with the sort of the diamond-ish shape, if you like, to go colorless, colorless. And I can do with those 2 colorless mana everything I ever did with any colorless mana ever, right?
That's right, yeah. This is simply just kind of cleaning things up, cleaning up our visual representation for Magic. For a long time, the confusion between colorless mana and generic mana was a sticking point for new players learning the game, and with Oath of the Gatewatch, we've just taken the opportunity to kind of clean that all up, give it a new facelift, and yeah, it's really exciting to see this awesome old card reprinted with that new technology.
Now, it's sometimes easy for us to forget that there are always new players coming into the game.
Yes.
Which means that there are some people out there who are watching this who have not played in hundreds of Battle for Zendikar drafts and have not had the thrill of going, rip, oh my lord, look at this incredible foil expedition. So we should explain exactly how we do get hold of these, that these are going to be in booster packs.
Yeah, expeditions are in booster packs. They're approximately as rare as a foil mythic card, roughly speaking. But yeah, they will be in there just inside normal Oath of the Gatewatch booster packs.
And you're going to be opening plenty of them because, of course, when we do come to draft, it will be Oath of the Gatewatch, Oath of the Gatewatch,
yes,
and then 1 pack of Battle for Zendikar. So every time you do sit down to draft, you're going to get 2 chances at opening one of these gorgeous things.
That's right, and these cards are fully playable in Limited as well.
Fantastic. All right, so that's 1. You promised us 2. By my reckoning, we should therefore get to our other one. So why don't we take a look at our second? Oh my. Oh my, Forbidden Orchard taps to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Whenever you tap it for mana, target opponent puts a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token onto the battlefield. This card has a very interesting history, and what a beautiful card that
Yeah,
looks.
this particularly beautiful card. Of course, I said earlier on that many of the Oath of the Gatewatch expeditions are lands that tap for colorless mana. This is not one of those, although there are others. This one, in fact, taps for any color of mana, and this is a card that historically has seen play in vintage Oath of Druids decks. It's a popular commander card as well. Lots of cool things to do with this card. Really, really beautiful one here.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that if you look carefully at the art, you've got the sort of hedron stuck amongst the branches there. That's
one of the
pretty
awesome
gorgeous.
things about all the expedition cards, including the ones in Battle for Zendikar, is that they're all set on Zendikar. So even though this was a card first printed in Kamigawa block, this is a Forbidden Orchard, what it would look like on Zendikar.
And they are Zendikar Expeditions.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's we call them expeditions for short, but that is their title, the Zendikar Expeditions. Fantastic stuff. So Ancient Tomb, Forbidden Orchard, just to recap, that's 2 of the 20
That's right, Rich.
new expeditions that we're going to see in Oath of the Gatewatch. You open them in the boosters, just as you'd expect, around about the same rarity as a foil mythic. But we should tell people about what we talked about on Friday and Saturday as well. So you've already seen that colourless mana symbol on the Ancient Tomb. Why don't we see that in action on one of our just huge in every way cards?
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Kozlak, the Great Distortion. Let's just have a quick look at Kozlak once again. So there you see 8 colourless. It's a 12/12, legendary Eldrazi, of course. When you cast Kozlak, the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, which you just might, draw cards equal to the difference. Menace, so harder to block, discard a card with converted mana cost X, counter target spell with converted mana cost X. So there we see the colourless mana working in situ.
Yeah, Kozlak, one of the major story characters of the set. It's all about Kozlak emerging, causing sort of double trouble for the Zendikari people, and it's up to our Planeswalker team to answer that threat. And what a threat he is. I mean, Kozlak, an awesome addition to the top end of, say, an Eldrazi ramp deck. Awesome commander card for sure. Right. And you pointed out in the upper right-hand corner there, that is that colorless mana symbol again. And here, for the very first time ever, it's used as a cost. So Kozlak requires you to pay colorless mana. Red mana won't do, white mana won't do.
Okay.
Those 2 symbols there must be paid for with colorless mana. And that's part of why we use this as the opportunity to give these cards this new facelift and this new symbol technology here.
Well, if I can't use my plains or my mountains or my forests or my islands or my swamps for my colourless mana, we better hope that there's more coming. And as I think a lot of you know by now, yes, there is indeed. Let's take a look at wastes. So, walk us through this, Ian.
Yeah, this is a bit of an oddball as well. It requires a little bit of explanation here. So you can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, this is a basic land. So this is a new basic land, the very first additional basic land we've ever printed in Magic. And this one taps for colorless mana. So you'll find these in Oath of the Gatewatch boosters. There are actually 2 different versions appearing at common with 2 different artworks representing Kozlak's destruction and Ulamog's destruction.
Let's take a look, because we can see both of those in action. Let's look at our second copy of Waste, and there they are. They do look very different, but they function exactly the same.
Right. So Waste is a basic land. It taps for colorless mana. Basic means that it can be fetched up by things like Rampant Growth and Evolving Wilds and all those sorts of cards that look for basic lands. Basic also means you can play with any number in your constructed deck. You can add any number to your constructed deck or your commander deck, for example, if you're playing like a Karn Silver Golem commander deck or something along those lines. You now have a basic land to fetch. However, in Limited, you will not be able to add an unlimited number of wastes to your deck. You only get to play with the ones that you draft.
Okay.
So it's actually part of what's a really interesting sort of mini game during draft is how do you prioritize these colorless mana sources? And I want to emphasize, wastes will not be the only colorless mana source in Oath of the Gatewatch. There are a number of different non-basic lands, various rarities in Oath of the Gatewatch, as well as artifacts, creatures, and various other ways to produce colorless mana.
Okay, so we're not just going, I must find all 4 wastes or I'm going to be in terrible trouble. Right. There's going to be plenty of ways to make it all happen. That's great stuff. Now, I'm going to morph you into being Gavin Verhey now, because you weren't available yesterday. We brought in Gavin. Yes, so Gavin came in and he talked to us about a brand new mechanic. So let's take a look at this card, which you may not have seen unless you were with us yesterday. Here is Crush of Tentacles. 4 blue, sorcery. The surge cost is 3 blue. And you're thinking, what surge? Well, you can see it there on your screen. You can cast the spell for its surge cost if you or a teammate has cast another spell this turn. What it does is it returns all non-land permanents to their owner's hands, and if if it was the Surge cost that you paid, well, you get an 8/8 blue Octopus Creature token onto the battlefield. So Ian, just walk us through a little bit about Surge.
Sure, Surge is a brand new mechanic appearing in Oath of the Gatewatch. And what it does is it's an alternative cost you can cast your spell for, but only if you or a teammate has already cast a spell this turn. So the usage of that word teammate here is a pretty unique thing. It's something we haven't done much in Magic before, and Oath of the Gatewatch is sort of a trial run to see how players respond to and appreciate having mechanics that are specially made for team play, because we know a lot of players out there really enjoy Two-Headed Giant, Emperor, all these various team formats for sure. So Surge is a mechanic that works especially well in team play, but I also want to emphasize it works perfectly well in solo or one-on-one play as well. And we hope that the Surge mechanic will allow for players to build decks that sort of cast a flurry of spells and all in one turn.
Right, so I mean, if I've got 6 mana, I can spend 1 red on Outnumber, and then I can Surge for 5, my Crush of Tentacles, for example. If I want to do something like that, that would be a feasible way. Not sure it would be strategically very good, but
absolutely,
that's part of the fun. You want to work out, it's not just can I do it, it's should I do it? And we're back again with the Thailand match.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a player who loves multiplayer Magic or team Magic, this is awesome for you. It's super powerful in those circumstances. But if you're a player who doesn't like to play team Magic, you can just cover up that word teammate, and these cards work perfectly well for you as well.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to the Two-Headed Giant pre-releases. Make sure your local game store is running one. I know mine certainly does, and it's a highlight of every pre-release weekend. Everyone piles in. They've learned what they can from the earlier pre-releases about all the new cards, and they can't wait to just pull them all together with your best friend sitting there. It's, even losing together can be fun. Winning together is just great, and that's what our teams will be looking to do here in the semi-finals coming up in just a little bit. But it's been a great kickoff weekend for Oath of the Gatewatch. We've seen Kozlak, the Great Distortion, we've seen Wastes, we've seen Crush of Tentacles, and now today we can unveil the first of our 20 expeditions, Ancient Tomb and Forbidden Orchard. And that wraps up the Oath of the Gatewatch preview weekend here at the World Magic Cup.